Coming up, the start of the Derek Chauvin trial and what you need to know so far.
And the Ever Given is free when the rest of the ships will finish their journey through the canal.
All that and more today, Wednesday, March 31st. Good morning, Emerson. I'm Amog Matthews.
And I'm Danielle Finezza. Thanks for waking up with us. We're going to start our morning off with today's top stories.
So today is the third day of the trial of Derek Chauvin, the man who was accused in the death of George Floyd. Yesterday, the teenager who recorded the video of Floyd's final moments in court testified. Darnella Frazier explained that what she saw that day changed her life and that she often lies awake at night in guilt for not intervening. She was among the group of eyewitnesses who included children and teenagers who saw the infamous case of police brutality. The eyewitnesses said they urged police to help Floyd, but feared the officers at the scene would harm them. The city of Minneapolis still remains deeply divided on issues of race.
The Ever Given container ship is finally free. The ship spent almost a week blocking the Suez Canal. It took tugboat crews hours to dislodge both the stern and the bow. While the refloating on Monday was celebrated, over 400 ships are still waiting to pass through. The ships are carrying billions of dollars worth of cargo and fuel. Canal authorities say they will work 24 hours a day to ensure these ships complete the 10 to 12-hour trip through the canal. It may still take 6 days or more for the entire line of ships to make it through.
Great news, folks. On Monday, President Biden announced that 90% of adults will be able to get the COVID vaccine within the next 3 weeks and have a vaccination site within 5 miles of every adult. According to Biden, most adults won't have to wait till May 1st, but rather just till April 29th. The president also announced that the federal government will open up 12 more mass vaccination sites and launch a transportation program for at-risk seniors and people with disabilities. The federal government is still imploring leaders to continue to keep up COVID restrictions among rising infection numbers. With 6 states having already stopped their mask mandates, the CDC worries a potential 4th wave is coming.
A Florida representative is under investigation for sexual misconduct. The Justice Department is investigating a possible sexual relationship between Republican Matt Gaetz and a 17-year-old girl. He may also be part of a broader investigation regarding violations of sex trafficking laws. Gaetz is denying the allegations against him. He says him and his family have, quote, been victims of an organized criminal extortion. Gaetz is calling for the Department of Justice to release tapes that he says will prove his innocence. He says the tapes will also incriminate an individual he claims is, quote, seeking $25 million while threatening to smear his name. This is an ongoing investigation, and we will continue to update you as we get more information.
And now we have more on the latest updates on the COVID-19 pandemic. A joint study by Chinese scientists and a World Health Organization team found that the coronavirus is likely to have been transmitted by bats to other animals and then to humans. According to their 123-page report, the team found it incredibly unlikely that the virus leaked from a lab. The coronavirus released by a Chinese lab is a popular conspiracy theory believed by skeptics, but findings of the report call for an increased transparency on behalf of the Chinese government for data. They say that the information is crucial to prevent future outbreaks. The WHO report also says that while the Wuhan market was the first reported cluster, it may not be the source of the outbreak.
The Moderna and Pfizer vaccines have been proven to be highly effective. The CDC released a study showing the vaccines are 90% effective 2 weeks after the second dose. Not only that, they are already 80% effective after the first. The study follows nearly 4,000 vaccinated healthcare workers. These individuals were at high risk for COVID-19 due to their jobs. The study spans from December to March and tests the vaccine's effectiveness in real-life conditions and against COVID-19 variants. Currently, over 1 million Massachusetts residents have been fully vaccinated.
In addition, Pfizer announced Wednesday morning that their vaccine is safe and 100% effective in children ages 12 to 15.
In a very small study of more than 2,000 volunteers in between the ages of 12 and 15, initial data showed there were no reported cases of COVID-19 among fully vaccinated participants, compared to 18 among those given placebo shots. This could be significant in helping put an end to the pandemic and getting schools looking even closer to normal.
Now we have Madison Goldberg, who has the details on the strategy of the Derek Chauvin trial.
and the newest changes from the Biden administration. Madison?
Thanks, you two. As Amog mentioned earlier, the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has begun. Chauvin stands trial for the murder of George Floyd 10 months ago, in which he used excessive force to restrain Floyd, suffocating him. Some of Floyd's final words, "I can't breathe," made headlines around the world. Chauvin is facing second and third-degree murder charges, as well as manslaughter, following the video captured of him kneeling on Floyd's neck last June. Chauvin's legal defense appears to be utilizing pre-existing medical conditions Floyd had against him, arguing that this was the cause of his death, though autopsy reports and witnesses continue to attest otherwise. Among the witnesses to testify thus far was Minneapolis firefighter Genevieve Hansen, who testified, quote, "There was a man being killed. I would have been able to provide medical attention to the best of my abilities, but this human was denied that right." And the Biden administration announced a new task force to review the federal government's scientific policies to ensure that they are free of political bias. This comes after several top health officials, including Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci, revealed to CNN that they faced political pressure for their jobs at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic under the Trump administration. The White House Office of Science and Technology Policy said in a letter on Sunday that the new task force will, quote, "prevent improper political interference from affecting research or data." The letter also emphasized President Biden's support for scientists and researchers. And President Biden announced a diverse set of judicial nominees. The candidates would fill 11 spots as federal, district, or Court of Appeals judges. This goes to show that Biden is keeping up with his campaign promise of choosing diverse judges to fill seats formerly dominated by white men. The nominees include 3 Black women and 1 Asian American woman. The Asian American candidate would be the first Asian woman to serve on the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia Circuit, following the conservative lean on the judiciary put in place by former President Donald Trump. And on Tuesday, President Biden signed a pandemic-era small business loans program into law. Biden called the legislation a bipartisan accomplishment, even crediting both parties. The bill extends the deadline for businesses to apply for the loan and gives the Small Business Association until June 30th to process the loan applications. This comes ahead of the administration's planned unveiling of a $2.25 trillion infrastructure package that could easily shape the rest of the party's economic agenda. That's all from me this morning with what's happening in Washington. Until next week, I'm Madison Goldberg. Back to you, Amog and Danielle.
Thanks, Madison. Now for a local look. Unfortunately, Massachusetts remains an area of high concern as COVID-19 cases rise across the country. On Sunday, the Department of Public Health estimated about 30,000 active cases in the U.S. In Massachusetts, the number of patients in hospitals with COVID-19 climbed from 622 to 657. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky warned states from rolling back public health precautions too soon. She made an emotional plea urging Americans not to let their guard down. A week ago, Massachusetts entered into phase 4 of its reopening plan. Some experts have already warned that it's too soon.
$50 million in funding are coming to Boston's rental relief fund. This comes after the federal ban on evictions was extended to June 30th. Mayor Kim Janey says the funding will be available to families in amounts up to $15,000. This money can help families pay rent, utilities, and moving costs. To qualify, you must be a Boston renter, earning less than 80% of the area median income. This fund was started back in April and has already distributed more than $7.8 million.
A former Boston police captain was arrested on Tuesday after an investigation of overtime fraud at the Boston Police Department. A 62-year-old Richard Evans was charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit theft concerning federal funds, 1 count of embezzlement, and 1 count to commit wire fraud. Prosecutors allege that Evans and other officers routinely left overtime shifts hours early but submitted false slips claiming to have worked the entire shift. This totaled more than $12,000 worth of overtime shifts, which Evans did not work.
Runners can now register for the 2021 Boston Marathon. However, the sign-up process didn't start without some technical difficulties. The Boston Athletic Association opened the virtual race to 70,000 people, but many were being restricted from registering. The BAA took note and quickly fixed the error, opening registration to those 18 and older. The virtual race will be October 8th through 10th and will be followed by an in-person race of 20,000 runners on October 11th.
According to Stop AAPI Hate, a coalition tracking incidents of violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, there were nearly 3,800 instances of harassment and discrimination against the community this past year. The amount of incidents like these increased significantly following the start of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Good Morning Emerson's Maria Sato spent her National Day of Action this past Saturday at an anti-Asian American violence rally and spoke with protesters and legislators about their work to combat these issues.
I'm here in Roxbury, and behind me you see are people showing up for the anti-Asian violence rally. As March 27th marks the National Day of Action, these rallies are held across the nation, and people are showing support for the AAPI community. Manny Chung, one of the speakers for Stop Asian Hate, says the Asian hate crimes that are happening are close to his heart.
When I look at those grandmothers and grandfathers, I see my grandmother and grandfather. That could be my mom and dad in 20 years. And I think a lot of us can relate to that in our community. We had to say something. We had no choice. And I felt like I had to do something about it. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm speaking up.
Many allies were seen joining the event in solidarity with the AAPI community, one of which is organizer of the Answer Coalition rally, Gabby Ballard. She says Asian Americans and Black Americans should stay together to combat hate crimes.
This massacre really highlights how both Asian Americans and Black Americans are on the receiving end of vicious state violence. The U.S. government has both economically, politically, socially crafted these stereotypes, these racist caricatures of both communities, and really used those to turn folks against each other.
Legislators are also working to crack down on hate crimes. Massachusetts State Representative Tram Nguyen filed a new bill making it easier to prosecute hate crimes by establishing penalties based on the severity of the crime. As a Vietnamese American herself, she says there needs to be a clear definition of what a hate crime is and stresses that this bill is not only for Asian hate crimes, but all hate crimes.
So what the bill is looking to do is to make sure that we are messaging to people in protected classes that they can turn to law enforcement and count on the judiciary to hold these perpetrators accountable, to hopefully empower more people from the community to come forward to report these crimes. Because we're seeing nationally and even here in the Commonwealth, there is an underreporting as well as an under-prosecution of hate crimes due to how vague our laws are.
Representative Nguyen acknowledges that the bill is not the end-all be-all. So in another effort, she's filing her second bill to help address racism at an early age, implementing a more racially and culturally inclusive K-12 education.
I know that a lot of folks are hesitant to reach out to, elected officials because they think they have to understand the bill completely. But at the end of the day, we just want to hear from you as to what you care about.
Reporting from Roxbury, I'm Maria Sato.
When we come back, we have Joey Dubois with sports and Carly Bronkema with entertainment. Sorry, prompter.
All right, come back in 10 seconds. Ready, camera one. Camera one, you wide shot of the entire thing, and in 3, 2, 1, take. Talent cue.
Welcome back to Emerson College. Emerson
Camera
trails
4, get a shot of the players coming across the court.
10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point. As
Camera 2 close on the person shooting.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away and score this big.
Camera 1 gonna close the ball them over.
Emerson trails WPI 10 points. 10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point as the team finishes their timeout.
Camera 1 close up on number 33.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away.
Follow the ball, follow the ball.
Hey, we're your roomies, your homies, your new living best.
We live here too. idea what time it is?
It's time.
7. Oh. 7? It would mean a lot to me if you guys watch.
Welcome back to Good Morning, Emerson.
We're sending it over to our very own Joey Dubois, who stayed up past his bedtime to see the results of the March Madness games last night. Joey?
Thanks so much, guys. It was a long night, but the Final Four is set in the NCAA tournament. The 4 regional champions set to duke it out for the national championship are Baylor, Houston, Gonzaga, and UCLA. UCLA is the surprise as they made it all the way to the Final Four after having to play their way into the tournament. Many predicted the other 3 to make it here, especially Gonzaga, who have won an NCAA record 27 straight games by double digits. It's anyone's tournament at this point, and we'll see how it unfolds with the Final Four on Saturday. On the women's side, perennial power UConn advanced to the Final Four on Monday night on the heels of a controversial no-call against Baylor. Baylor's DeJounte Carrington drove to the rim down 1 in the final seconds and appeared to be fouled by a couple of Husky defenders, but the referees did not blow their whistles. Even LeBron James gave his take post-game on Twitter, as he was one of the many who felt that a foul should have been called. As a result, UConn advanced to their 13th consecutive Final Four, and they're looking for championship number 12 in their program's history. The NBA trade deadline came and went, and 2 of the league's top contenders were suspiciously quiet, and now we know why. Neither the Los Angeles Lakers nor the Brooklyn Nets made any moves, but soon after acquired key pieces via the buyout market. The Lakers signed center Andre Drummond, and the Nets signed big man LaMarcus Aldridge to bolster their depth for the upcoming playoff runs. Both were released by their teams in the past week and hit the open market, each choosing to land with a team with a serious chance to win the title. We'll see if the Nets and Lakers are the last 2 teams standing come playoff time. Fenway Park is welcoming fans for the first time since 2019 this week. The Boston Red Sox begin their season with a 3-game homestand against the Baltimore Orioles starting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Approximately 4,000 fans are allowed into the stadium as part of Massachusetts' reopening plans. The Sox are coming off of a down year, but there's some reasons for optimism for the team to turn it around this year. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hoping to make my way down to Fenway as soon as possible.
So Danielle, I don't think I've actually, in all 4 years of my Emerson College experience, I've never been to a Red Sox game.
You haven't?
No.
Well, maybe now that it's reopening, you can get down there.
I know, and another thing I wanted to go to a Bruins game and a Patriots game, but I just never made it down.
Well, either way, you're going to have to come back to Boston and visit. So
I will. While we're saying hello to a new season of Fenway, we unfortunately had to say goodbye to a beloved author from our childhood this past week.
Our entertainment correspondent, Carly Bronkema, has the story. Carly?
Well, Danielle and Amog, many teenagers and adults are heading back to their childhood bookshelves this week after the passing of a beloved author. Beverly Cleary, creator of characters like Ramona Quimby and Henry Huggins, died Friday at the age of 104 years old. In an interview with the Associated Press, Cleary said, quote, "As a librarian, children were always asking for books about kids like us. Well, there weren't any books about kids like them," end quote. Cleary set out to write books about the kinds of children she grew up with and published her very first book at 33 years old. She will certainly be missed in homes all over the world. Bridgerton star Ray J. Jean Page made headlines again this week, but this time it wasn't for his looks. He won the Outstanding Actor in a Drama Series Award at the NAACP Image Awards on Saturday. Joining him was Viola Davis, who won Outstanding Actress in a Drama Series for How to Get Away with Murder. She also won Outstanding Actress in a Motion Picture for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Her co-star, the late Chadwick Boseman, also won Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture for the same film. Activist Stacey Abrams won the Social Justice Impact Award for her work in Georgia this election season. Eddie Murphy received the Hall of Fame Award, joining past honorees such as Oprah Winfrey and Spike Lee. Sharon Osbourne will no longer appear on popular daytime talk show, The Talk. In an episode 2 weeks ago, Osbourne defended Good Morning Britain host Piers Morgan, who famously walked out of the show after claiming Meghan Markle was lying about her suicidal thoughts while a part of the royal institution. Hosts of The Talk had a heated discussion about racism, which led CBS to open an internal inquiry and stop the show until April 12th. After the debate, Osbourne tweeted an apology to, quote, anyone of color that I offended. She added that she had, quote, panicked, felt blindsided, got defensive, and allowed my fear and horror of being accused of being racist take over. Osbourne left the show voluntarily and was not fired. Fans of Stanley Tucci and The Rock are very upset with Prince William. And no, it's not because of the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry controversy. On Saturday, The Sun published results from a survey by Longevita, a cosmetic surgery company claiming Prince William is the world's sexiest bald man. The Rock responded in a tweet which read, "How in the cinnamon toast does this happen when Larry David clearly has a pulse? Hashtag demanding recount." Stanley Tucci's name was trending on Twitter as fans retweeted the story in disgust. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'd say Stanley Tucci is much more attractive than Prince Harry. That's all from the entertainment world this week. I'm Carly Bronkema, sending it back to Amog and Danielle at the desk.
Thanks, Carly. As we all continue our social distancing, isolation has been a huge problem during the pandemic, especially for our seniors.
But one group here in Boston is making sure the elderly are staying connected. Here's Angel Salcido with this week's Heart of Boston.
Life can be pretty quiet in a global pandemic.
Hi, Naomi.
But not here. This is a virtual meeting for the Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly chapter here in Boston. They're a national nonprofit that fights isolation and loneliness in the elderly.
You guys have school and all that. I don't have none.
Do you want to switch, Miss Perdita?
Am I allowed to? Am I really allowed?
Programs have gone virtual because of COVID-19, but that hasn't kept the crew from their favorite activity.
Bingo! Bingo! Bingo!
Little Brothers participants and volunteers play bingo every week.
I-23.
And it can get pretty lively.
One of these days I'm gonna win. One of these days.
We're rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
There's some people that look forward from when we end on Monday for the next Monday to come for them to play bingos.
They want to win bingo. It gets very intense in there and very competitive.
They're enjoying themselves and having a great time too.
But Executive Director Nikki Schultz says seniors aren't the only ones who benefit from Little Brothers.
It's not one person is giving and one person is taking, one person needs help and the other person's giving it. We're really just creating a platform for friendship.
And now here's our interview with Noah Zion.
Stay tuned. Thanks so much, Angel. This morning we're joined by our musical guest, Noah Zion.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Noah.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Noah, when did you start singing and realizing that you wanted to create music?
Well, I've been singing my whole life. Ever since I was a kid, I've just always been really into music. I've played the piano. But when I got to college, I joined a musical theater club and a songwriting club, and I was just kind of doing it for fun. But then when the pandemic hit, I was looking for something to do, and I was getting kind of low and depressed from just like being inside all the time. So I really dove into songwriting, and I've just fallen in love with it, and I've like realized that that's what I want to do. And yeah.
So what does your creative process look like? Take us through like writing a song.
Usually I just get some like phrase in my head that I really want to build a song around, or I get a tune in my head and I just start singing it. Like it just pops in my head all the time, and I just start kind of writing a song around that. And then once I have like a verse or a chorus, I just build whatever I'm missing around that and make that the main focal point of the song. And then I show it to my producer, and we just get started on it.
Yeah, for sure. So later in the show today, you're performing Flightless. What do you want listeners to know about the song?
You know, I wrote it when I was in a place in my life where I had a lot of insecurities and didn't really feel so great about myself. And the people I was surrounding myself with at the time also had their own internal struggles, and the way that they were dealing with their own issues was almost like holding me back from overcoming my own. And I think that's what Flightless is about. And just getting out of those situations and just being free and able to do whatever you want to do and be whoever you want to be.
Would you say that in your music that you try to put a lot of yourself into it and like your experiences?
Definitely. I wouldn't say that any of my songs are about any like specific scenarios or specific moments in my life. They're kind of like generalized stories about many things that have happened in my life.
So I gotta ask, do you have any new projects, new songs coming out that we can listen to?
Yeah, so my song Flightless, I'm releasing it this month on April 16th. And then I'm also working with Steve at Infinite Recording on my second song. And I'm also going to be starting my EP, and both of those things will be released later this year.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
When we come back, AntiAsian is performing their song, Flightless.
Stick around. Welcome back to Good Morning Emerson. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. You can check out this week's Heart of Boston on our YouTube page.
And now, performing their new song, Flightless, for the very first time, AntiAsian.
I wanna be faultless, so I can feel flawless. When I look in the mirror, I wanna be careless and not be embarrassed, so I no longer feel when the world around me crashes and I'm alone and left to burn. I'm all I have left. When will I learn? You wanna cut my wings before I can fly. If you break me down first, I can't even try. Shut me up with your painful words. You don't realize we're all just flightless birds. Flightless, faultless birds, yeah. Flightless, faultless birds, yeah. Flightless, faultless birds, yeah. Flightless, faultless birds.
That was a beautiful performance, and I'm loving those dreamy lights.
I am too. Flightless by AntiAsian will be out this spring, anywhere you get your music.
So, Danielle, last week we asked the audience to pick out a name for this little lady right here.
We
and
did.
We think that we picked a pretty good one. Danielle, can you just tell us the runner-ups?
Yeah, so we had a ton of people submit names, which was very exciting. 2 honorable mentions that we have are Sam DeCoste and Bubbles. So if you submitted those, you know who you are.
Thank you so much. So the winner of this little challenge that we had is Little Poppy, short for Little Papillon, by E-I-E-I-E Dog. E-I-E-I-E-I Dog. We really enjoyed the name. This little lady is now named Little Poppy. So for next week, we want to ask you guys, since it is April Fool's,
tomorrow,
to send us your favorite April Fool's prank, either the one you did, or just send us a funny video you did, and we'll showcase it on our Instagram.
Yeah, we'll pick some of our favorites to post there.
So for Good Morning Emerson, my name is Moog Matthews.
And I'm Danielle Finezza. Be sure to check out our YouTube exclusive Campus Connect on our YouTube page. Thank you so much for waking up with us, and we'll see you next week.